What does it mean today to be a journalist? Do you need a degree? Or is it the tweeters, the bloggers, the citizens? The traditional hierarchical and authoritative intermediaries of news are diminishing. Publishing is no longer above the social sphere. It is part of it. Rusbridger describes this new delineated form of journalism's effect on the BBC on the Columbia Journalism Review.
Our readers have become part of what we do. In return, we give them a more diverse form of journalism.
It sounds good, right? But on the other hand,
for the first time since the Enlightenment, communities are faced with the prospect of living without verifiable sources of news.
Journalism is multi-platform. Platforms, in a way, are irrelevant. Our focus should be on the quality of content, was her main argument.
There is a human craving for trustworthy information about the world we live in, and they want to be part of the conversation.
That is the revolutionary change we are living through today, this transformation from transmission to communication.
And this makes those in the journalism publishing industry feel insecure because of this new world. They've lost their authority over news, and they know it. Nigel Hamilton wrote on the Huffington Post that some are getting hysterical. Before, power given to them because journalists had the access to the information that nobody else really had. And it was in the journalist's power to decide what information was given to the public, when, and how. But now we have Web 2.0. Perhaps we no longer want the news that's been given in the old authoritative model. There may be a question of quality, but it's been proved that people trust their peers more than experts. People have found they can get detailed, rich, and timely content through aggregators such as Twitter without having to wait for a trained journalist. Radical change to the events surrounding the invention of the Gutenberg press, and he's not the only one. Smith and Cohen agree. But Dana Boyd tells us that online media is not a tool of democratization, that although anyone can distribute, our attention is not divided equally. For example, I might pay more attention to a Sydney Morning Herald tweet or something from a friend than I would from some stranger in Paraguay. This leads to homophilia, where our aggregation tools ensure that we get more of the same, rather than a diverse range of voices. This is why the advertising business model doesn't work so well online. In newspapers, for example, advertising disrupts our attention. Thanks, Rusbridger. But online, there are tools to avoid this. We only seek out what stimulates us, Dana Boyd tells us, but it's not necessarily good. Archive fever is the description of when we expose ourselves to content, which dulls your dopamine receptors, which then require more and more hardcore stimuli in order to receive pleasure. Eventually, she gets what you call the psychological equivalent of obesity.
We give power to people when we give them our attention.
That half the time, brains are on autopilot, and so rises the importance of aggregation tools such as Dig, bookmarks, reading lists, and following tags on Tumblr or Twitter. And this links to all the worry and hype about either there's too much information nowadays, or maybe we don't have enough attention span. Stowe points out, it's a claim that's been going around since Plato, and it's basically not true. Just by being alive, having senses means we're already inundated with data. The only difference with the internet is that we're still creating the tools of aggregating and making ways of niching ourselves so that we can focus on the information. Chloe Albanese on ExtremeTech.com wrote an article, Is Google Ruining Journalism?
Everyone was in agreement that the Fourth Estate should remain independent.
Forms content or expression, which to some is a legal issue. Or is it that news belongs to no one? online journalism tries to monetize is by creating paywalls. But as you can see here, the New York Times' famed paywall is being easily bypassed. Authority over distribution has gone out the window.